On today's episode of SFA Now, we will be looking into the world of geocaching. Hear from experiences from local geocachers, and even watch a few caches being found. So stay tuned.
Welcome to SFA Now. I'm Jawan Lee, and on today's episode, we will be looking into the world of geocaching. I'm here today with geocaching enthusiast Therese Hostetter. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Good, great. So tell us a little bit about geocaching and what it is.
Geocaching started in the year 2000, and it is a hide-and-seek, high-tech treasure hunt game.
Okay, so what introduced you to geocaching?
I was Googling hiking maps in my hometown of Ojai, California, and this was early 2001. It had been up and running for a year, and on this Googling of hiking trails, there was a hyperlink. And I had no clue what that was. It said there's a geocache. I clicked on the link and it brought me to geocaching website. And it said, put your zip code in. I put in Nacogdoches zip code, and lo and behold, there was 3 hidden in Nacogdoches. Now there's probably about 100.
Okay. So do you have a group of friends or someone that you like to go geocaching with?
I do. I have Florida Star and Astro 77. And one of those two is a professor here at Nacogdoches at SFA. And we have gone geocaching with them. We've probably found 400 or 500 with them.
400 or 500.
Right. We're on 13 right now. But 1,300's a little bit low. There are some people that have 85,000 behind their name.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So I'm not at that status yet.
It's okay. I'm not either. So I understand that when people find caches, there's different treasures inside them, different things you can put in them. What are some of the most interesting things that you found in the cache?
A new watch.
A new watch.
I found a Seiko watch. I found a compass. You can do this with an old school compass. So there are people that put some of those old treasures, and those are placed as a lure to be the first cacher to find it. When these are posted, people rush to it middle of the night. As soon as it's approved to be hid, there are people that are trying to be the first one to find it. So they do give little rewards. I found a $20 gift certificate to IHOP. I have found free gift certificates to Chili's.
Actually in the cache?
In the cache.
Oh, okay. So I understand that you actually have hidden some around SFA yourself.
I have. I think we have 7 on the SFA grounds.
So what do you enjoy more? Do you enjoy hiding them or do you enjoy finding them?
It shifts. When we first started, I really wanted to find some. But through the years, people have not hidden larger boxes with treasures in it. They've gone to micros. You can go from a very small, the size of a magnetic fake nut, to an ammunition can. But through the years, people have gotten away from hiding artifacts for people to find, and they've gone to the quick and easy film container. And I lost interest for a few years, so I just started hiding. But they both have their pluses and their minuses for wanting to geocache.
What are some of the most difficult caches that you have found?
One of my favorites was at a cemetery, and it was a big cemetery. And we had to go to different locations and take different words from different tombstones to find the hint to find the real cache. Or we had to take parts of a date, and they would say the oldest couple buried here. So we would find that tombstone, we would take the date and put it with another tombstone's date to find the waypoint. And that was pretty hard. It took us probably an hour and a half.
Okay, so trying to find caches in the cemetery, that some of that stuff can be legal, right?
Illegal or legal?
Illegal.
In Virginia, you cannot geocache in a cemetery. They don't want their historical cemeteries tampered with. There are guidelines. You can't do this on federal property. And once it's published, it's been investigated enough to be opened up for the public to find it. But you still get harassed sometimes from local police.
Do you have any interesting stories about a run-in with the police?
I do, and it was a terrible experience.
How was that?
We were at a cemetery by Nacogdoches Airport, and it was probably within the first 2 years we were geocaching. And we found the cache. It was in a tree in a film container. And after we signed the log, our clueless and clumsy signature, and our date, we loaded back up in our truck. And in our truck, we happened to have had several ammunition cans and lots of little white baggies. So I'm sure it didn't look so good that we were like drug runners already with empty ammunition cans and Ziploc baggies and film containers. So as we exited the cemetery, 2 police came and blocked us in.
Wow.
They separated my husband and I. They put me spread eagle on the front of the truck. They had him separated at the back of the truck. And we're telling a story about how we're treasure hunting. I don't think it went over too well, because before we knew it, they had stripped our truck. They had opened every ammunition can back there. We had no clue why we were being harassed. Come to find out, it's because there were drugs being dropped in the cemetery, and drug runners were picking them up for distribution. We didn't know that. We just had our ammunition cans and our Ziploc baggies, and we were going to find and hide caches that day.
Now, anybody searching for anything in a cemetery at nighttime, that can get off the wrong impression. So is it a preference for you to go geocaching at night, or?
I do like going at night, and I like cemeteries. I think you get bothered less at a cemetery than you do, say, nosing around a gutter at a church, or, fiddling around a train locomotive that's out for display. You don't get bothered. So I don't mind the cemeteries, and I like to do it at night. It's a little more challenging. You don't have the visual that you do during the day. You don't get bothered as much by local mugglers, onlookers.
And what are mugglers?
Mugglers are onlookers, or someone that's there to just get involved in what you're doing that don't belong there.
Have you ever had a situation with a muggler?
We have. I've had them follow us, see what we've done, and go back and tinker with what we were hiding. And so when I go to hide, I try to make sure there's not too many people around. And sometimes you have to tell them what you're doing if they're just not leaving the scene, and that's where you want to hide one.
Now, when you find the cache, is there any rules where can you take stuff or can you not take stuff? Can you leave stuff in there?
You don't, if you take one item out, put one item back. We have had kids like strip the entire container and leave nothing. And then you'll get a note from someone, hey, this is empty. So it's nice to, if you take something, leave something. And we have signature items. I leave a seashell. I'm from Ventura County on the coast near Santa Barbara. So I leave a seashell, or I leave a miniature bottle of Coke because I love Coca-Cola. So I found a little supplier of miniature Coke bottles. So sometimes I'll put a miniature Coke. And I've seen my items travel. I've seen them go from one cache, and I'll be in another county and I'll see my Coke bottle. And people will do that. They'll take things and they'll move them to another cache.
Well, it seems like you have some very, very interesting stories when it comes to geocaching. Now let's take a look at some SFA students finding caches around the SFA campus.
Geocaching was originally called GPS Stash Hunt, but was coined geocaching in 2000 by Matt Stum. Geo means earth, and cache comes from a French word meaning to temporarily store items in a hidden spot. Geocaching is fun to do with friends and a great way to get exercise. To find caches, one must plug in coordinates on a GPS device or download the geocaching app. Once you get to the area, search under things, in things, over things, anywhere something can possibly be hidden. Caches can be all different sizes and can hold a variety of things. Sometimes logbooks will be found inside caches, so you can write your name and let others know who found the cache.
I like geocaching because you can find treasures inside of places that you probably never thought you would find them.
Derek Jackson, local geocacher, tells us a little about his geocaching experiences. So, how did you find out about geocaching?
I actually found out about geocaching with some friends of mine who just came back from Missouri. They went to college in Missouri, and so they came back and tried to introduce us to it. And the first one we did was a night cache. So it was in the dark, and it was in the middle of the woods, and we were really convinced it was a big internet scheme, like all designed to like bring us in the woods and murder us. And so we thought she was crazy and trying to get us all killed. But that was our first introduction to geocaching. It turned out to be a blast as a whole group of friends from college, and we loved it.
So do you have people that you like to usually go geocaching with?
Yeah, the people I like to go geocaching with the most is my family. It's something fun for my wife and I and our two little kids to take off in the woods and just have a blast going out discovering something, and they love finding the little trinkets and stuff in the geocaches and stuff like that.
What's the most interesting item you've ever found inside a cache?
Oh, probably we went caching while we were in Italy, and we found a coin in there that was it had a destination. It was trying to make it back to Texas, of all things. And so we were like, yeah, we can totally do that. And so we take that coin out. And it was a really neat coin, and we brought it back over here and had it get to its destination. So that was probably one of our favorites to get.
What was your favorite place to go geocaching?
Favorite place to go geocaching? Oh man, let's see. Probably the side of a hill. It was supposed to be a small, easy cache in Athens, Greece, and it turned out to be on the side of a mountain. So it was quite difficult to get to, but it turned out to be really fun. It was beautiful once we got up there, so definitely that.
Would you say that was your hardest cache to find?
No, that wasn't my hardest cache. Probably the hardest cache was this past spring break. We were traveling through Arkansas, and we came to one that was in the top of a tree, and so we threw my daughter up in the tree, and she climbed up there. There were no low branches, so I had to pick her up over my head and stick her up there. She climbed up and got the cache, but then she got stuck in the tree and couldn't get down. So I then had to get up there. So my wife shoved me in the tree. I climbed up, got her down, and we got the cache that way.
For more information on geocaching and tips to get started, visit geocaching.com.
Thank you for staying with us. If you're joining us, I'm your host, Jawan Lee, and I'm still here with Therese. Thank you for talking with us about geocaching. Can you give some new people that are just getting into geocaching just a few quick pointers before we get out of here?
Make sure that you're careful when you go out. You don't want to hurt the earth or destroy. Take a trash sack so you can clean up trashy area where you're caching, and make sure someone knows where you're at. Always be safe. The buddy system's the best. Take two people. Make sure someone knows where you're going.
Okay. Well, it looks like that's all the time we have for today. I would like to thank our guest, Therese Hoster, for being here and educating us on geocaching. If you would like more information on how to get started, visit geocaching.com. Thanks for tuning in to SFA Now. I'm Jawan Lee. Have a great day.